Recording. Yay! Post-summit Zoom call.
Oh, just in time for Mary.
Hi. Mary! So, okay, the craziest thing is I saw Jenna in the hallway. I saw Jennifer right after the Mommy and Me workout. I saw Sheena at dinner. Wait, were you at dinner a couple times. So most everybody, I'm like, where are you? And then back, by the time it was time to do anything, I had to take Reese back to the room to go for a nap. So I feel like I missed so much. But it looked like you guys had fun when you found each other. So next year, I think that we're going to be within like a 4-hotel radius. I was like mapping it out. So we'll be able to have meetup points, a team photo, the whole shebang. Team shirts, I am committing. You heard it here first. Because now I have Christy, who she's actually really great at design. So we can start thinking about, now that we know the city and like we'll know the theme ahead of time, we can start thinking about some specific themes. Okay, so I kind of wanted to go over with you guys and really just be able to compile all of our notes, because I know that some of us were in different halls, some of us went into different sessions. I'm going to try to pull or get my hands on the recordings from some of the leadership sessions. Christina Novato is hands down the best. So I'm going to try to get that for you guys, but I can certainly share. I can certainly share some of my notes, but I really wanted to hear what were some of the things that stood out to you guys, either if it was like in a session or if it was just talking to one another, afterwards, and just kind of like any aha moments. So Sheena, I'm going to put you on the spot because you're like the next person on my screen. So you could just share like whatever comes to your mind, or go through your notes and kind of share like what were your like top 2 things that you were just like, whoa.
Yeah. There was so much, and I'm sure we'll all touch on like different but the same things. Mm-hmm. I think a huge thing for me, and I kind of went into Summit with this, was having the intention of like being there for Summit and not being there to like go see things and do this and do that, and actually like just being very focused. And so a huge thing that I took away was just like our team community and how big Beachbody is. Like sometimes I forget even like just our team, how big of an impact we have. And then just on like the bigger scale of it, just in general, like being in the general sessions and being in the opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies and looking around and just feeling like sometimes I feel like we're kind of like by ourselves, but then being in that environment, it's like, oh my God, like there's so many people making such an impact that it really kind of like drilled into my head, like, why not me? Like I'm sitting there in the stands watching everyone on stage, and it's like, they are no different. Like Emily's story really stuck out to me, of how like she reached 15-star diamond from diamond, and really she's no different than the rest of us. So I found that was one thing that really stuck to me, and it kind of went into the theme of everything, of just like believing in yourself and like not letting excuses get in the way, not letting your fear get in the way. And like things are always going to change on social media. Things are going to change, and our products are going to change. They're going to evolve. What people want is going to evolve. Like with the whole keto thing that everyone was doing this year, and everyone was jumping ship, but now people are starting to come back. Like there's always going to be changes and different factors outside of us that we can and can't control. But what we can control is like how you approach it. And if you believe in what you're doing, and if you believe you can help make a difference, and that's really where your change is going to come from. Like that's going to be the difference between sitting in the stands as an Emerald coach like I was this year, or being up at the front walking across the stage, is just that belief in you. And so I think just like the overall vibe and the overall theme of the whole summit is what was my biggest takeaway.
I'm curious if anyone found the elite section or 5-star diamond like way more accessible. Hearing there are people who have come in the business not even 2 years ago with fresh eyes, and they're killing it. Like they made Elite, or it's not like you were saying, it's always, things are always changing. When I came in, there was no such thing as Facebook groups, if that is even conceivable. Like that did not exist. So I feel super old. So it's interesting to see, like, okay, it's not the coach necessarily that has been elite even before. It's like anyone can go for it. Anyone, we all start out January at the same exact, 0 elite points. So I found that to be incredibly encouraging and so cool to see so many new faces getting recognized. But did you guys feel like, did you even notice that it was like a lot of newer people, or?
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, I liked how they did the panel. They did the coaches panel where it was like they had like a 5-star diamond on stage. So it was like you weren't just hearing from people who have been at it for so long, like you were hearing from people that were brand new too, and like how they made that work. And I thought that was really helpful and like just really inspiring to know, like, wow, there's a 5-star diamond up on stage, like giving us advice. Like that could be me next year. Like I feel like that made it so much more relatable.
And she was hilarious.
Yes, she was awesome.
She was.
Finally, Black people.
Yeah. She's like, where are all the people that look like me?
That was great. Kayla, what were you going to say?
No, I said it was really cool to see that. This year was by far the best summit. I'm serious. Like the takeaways, what they did, the events, the speakers, it was just like they hit home for every person in the audience, is what I felt like there.
There is, by the way, a survey that went out, like post-summit survey, and search your inbox. I see a lot of nodding heads, but the one thing like we were actually talking about was they are so serious about taking feedback. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers from years past, during general session, they would actually have the trainers in the core. So you were torn between, do I go see the trainer that I've been working with all year in my living room, or do I sit and hear announcements and keynote speakers? And they took a lot of that feedback of like, we don't want to have to choose. That's not fair to like have the open in this shiny object and then have like all the meat, of the training at the same time. So fill out those surveys for sure, because they're so great about implementing the next year of anything that was good or not so good. So anyway. All right. So who wants to go next? Any volunteers for like top 1 to 2 takeaways? I'm going to call on somebody.
I will. I'll go. My main takeaways was everything moving to Instagram. So we did a training on inviting, and it was all about Instagram and Insta stories. And she said at least 5 stories a day, and you can post an invite daily in the stories because they're deleted, and then use polls to invite. So I started implementing that and like relating to people and being vulnerable in your posts. So that was a huge takeaway, which I started doing this year anyways, and it has made a huge difference. And then another was following up it's like 3 to 10 times they said, and then 100 invites for 3 yeses is like the numbers, and getting that number and seeing that to be able to share with people that are giving up very easily was a huge takeaway for me.
There's one thing, speaking of like the inviting, I'm trying to find it right now because I was going to post it for you guys about, let me see if I can just find it. She said instead of calling it invite, it was something about something that, I'm going to butcher it.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that too. I have so many notes.
Didn't she do the thing too about recognizing people? Doing like the shout outs on Instagram stories, like recognizing people for what they signed up for or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Danielle had like she did like the grade 8, and every month was a theme on how she invited coaches, and as they get written in there on the iPad or whatever. But I'm trying to think of, I think I heard what you were for the invite. It was something
like
else.
changing the wording and made it a lot more easy to understand. I'm make myself crazy trying to find it.
I'm trying to find it too. I think I heard it, and I can't. I was just reading through my notes before, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened.
Right? Yeah, the Instagram. I mean, have you guys been using Instagram before, or is this like a new?
I've been trying. It's still my Facebook is my biggest market, so I'm kind of doing both because from what I did an Instagram training, and Facebook, they want more of a connection. They're not going to really invite you or friend request you if they don't know you. In Instagram, they will more willing to follow strangers. So that's huh?
And unfollow. It's like very volatile. Like or quick to. I'm quick to unfollow people on Instagram because I'm like, what is this? Like, why is this?
Yeah, I'll be like, why am I following this person? And it's like I for a while I just broke 1,000, but I was like at the same, I would lose and gain the same 3 people, I swear, for like 2 weeks. And then one of the posts I did at Summit, it jumped over 1,000. So I'm like up there now, but I have to keep it and keep growing. So I'm just trying to figure that out.
So, okay, I just found it, by the way. So instead of invite, she talks about attract, connect, invite, which makes way more sense. I'm going to recording right now. It's from Brooke Lipoff. Okay, just random side note. So you guys can watch this later, but I thought that was so good. Because invite sounds like hound, but it's not. Did anyone else have notes from like the Instagram presentations?
Yeah, I have some. It was a lot. So I was in the same room as Kayla, but what I found super interesting. So I've been following Holly Hillier for a while, and I've kind of seen like how quickly she's just been like moving, and like you hear her name on the wake up call like every week. And she said that she has less than 10,000 followers on Instagram, but 85% of her business comes from Instagram. Wow. With less than 10,000 followers. So that was like a huge shift in my mind to be like, okay, like you better get your butt in gear with Instagram. Like that's where people are at and where people are willing to buy. Whereas I feel like on Facebook, they're still so hesitant because so many people are like selling in the gross way on Facebook still.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, I had someone message me today from It Works asking if I would share a post for her. And I'm like, or what? And she's like, oh, for It Works keto cream. I was like, did you look at my profile at all? Like, did you not? I was like, that's against my industry. I was like, I'm in the same industry as you, and you've never messaged me before ever. It was like, could you do this post for me? Tag me in it. I was like, I won't do something that I've never used. Yeah. Ever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I could not believe, I've never had that happen. That must be how they train their people.
You need notoriety. You've got people coming to you.
I'm like, oh my God. No, I don't. Hey.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Ashley. What was I gonna? Oh, so this is like not related to Summit training, but I did hear. I'm gonna rack my brain trying to think. I think it was Jen Richardson. We were talking. Oh no, it was Elizabeth Harkey. We were talking about how many followers versus what your income is. So she was saying that she did this like. Participated in this training, and they were giving examples of people that had 50,000 followers on Instagram but only made $20,000 in sponsored posts from Instagram versus somebody who has a really quality list like Holly Hillier. You know, less people, even if you were like 3,500 people, but was making significantly more, you know, like 6 figures. Just because the quality of the people they're actually interacting with, it's not just a bunch of people who like follow. It's people who are commenting and interested and following along and like doing it with them. So I thought that was really interesting, instead of just trying to use all these different hashtags or strategies to grow your Instagram, to actually be putting vulnerable content, things that connect or land with people, being a little bit more thoughtful instead of just like, oh, I have to make a post today, let me just throw something up. But yeah, quality over quantity for sure. So, and like I've been talking about rolling this out for a while, but Sheena, she was in our group for Instagram. We just kind of played around. Lisa, you were in the group too. That's okay. We started out with a really ambitious goal of just trying to build our Instagram and just kind of follow Gary Vaynerchuk's strategy about connecting on, was it nine comments on 10 different hashtags, or 10 comments on 9 hashtags? Either way, it was 90 comments a day.
A lot.
At first, I mean, and Jenna was like great at like just locking it in. I mean, it was like a lot of work, but what we found, and like I'm going to be rolling out to the team of whoever wants to participate, is to do something as simple as 2 hashtags, like 3 comments on 2 hashtags, and I found at least that my following definitely grew, and that I was actually finding and connecting. Jennifer, you were in the group, weren't you? Okay, and like connecting with people who actually shared interest with me, and you know, like I enjoyed following, and then hopefully they follow me back. So I would love to take everything that we learned from Summit and then kind of marry it with that strategy, and hopefully together all collectively grow our Instagram. And that's where that Wellness Babes Fitness account comes in, because I want a landing spot of like where I can say, here are our team transformations, just search the hashtag and you'll see, and you guys can even start using that hashtag just to kind of pull all the photos together so that it's like, hey, it's not just me. And then also, hopefully people are attracted to your results and like find you from that page as it grows onto your own personal page. But a lot of exciting things about Instagram, because you can actually connect so much quicker with people that you actually share interest with. Let's see what Kayla said. 5 pics, 3 comments, 1 follow. 20 times a day. What's 20 times a day?
She said to do that 20 times a day, so you're not like doing it at once, so it seems like a little less. But even 20 times a day seems like a lot for me. I was like, I'm not on Instagram that much. That seems like a lot. So I like have been doing
Warzone.
Yeah.
I have an issue because at work, when I try to post on Instagram, it will spin and spin and spin, and it will take sometimes 2 hours. It drains my battery. So I'm going to have to change my Instagram posting so when I'm not at work, because it gets frustrating when you sit there and it's just spinning and spinning and spinning. And then sometimes they won't even post.
It was really only 1 or 2 posts a day on there, and it's Insta stories. And then that was the comments on other people, like to grow.
There is the planning, like Preview and Planoly, the apps where you can kind of strategically plan it out. You can even write your caption, and then you can just copy it from the app. You can like set a reminder. So you could, when I used to work full time, I would post before I clocked in because I didn't want to get in trouble. I'd post even at like 8 a.m., 7:55 a.m., and then I would post at the end of the day. But I would at least do it, work on my post like as I could throughout the day, and then post during like off hours. So just a suggestion. Connie, I didn't see you at all at Summit. I don't know why our paths did not cross at all, but how was it for you?
It was really good. I'm glad that I decided to go because I got to see Beachbody as a community, as opposed to being out here spinning my wheel, doing my thing, and just praying to God something happens. So the isolation has lifted. isolation with just me and Steph pretty much is what's been going on. So I'm really glad I went. I've been following Holly Hillier as well, like Stephanie said, but I really have struggled with understanding Instagram. So going to that training helped clarify some things, like get some ideas on hashtags. I am a math teacher by trade. I am very logarithmic, not creative. So her spitting out some ideas on hashtags, I think is going to definitely help because I have like 150 some followers. Because I just started with Insta. So that was one of my big takeaways on that. Limiting beliefs. I needed a reminder on limiting beliefs. And what else? There's something I wrote down. I'm trying to find it because, of course, I turned the page.
It's so hard when you're in the moment. Like, what
Mhm.
did I learn? It's exciting though with your Instagram. That's a really great metric for you to track. Just your growth rate. If you have a goal of like, I want 5 new followers a week, and just kind of working on figuring out how you can do that, and then your creative juices will start to kick in. And even if you're not a creative person, you look for ways to make that happen. So I would definitely recommend starting to track that and just be able to say, okay, here are the hashtags that I use. Like, this works, this didn't work. I forget who was saying, but somebody had a very similar situation to me where I was talking a lot about my autoimmune disease. And when I did that, I was attracting a lot of those people using those hashtags, but I just got a bunch of really cranky, sick people.
Yeah, I'm finding that too. I have autoimmune disease issues too, and I'm like, oh, you're so broke, I can't really help you.
Whoa, this is beyond the scope of what I can handle. So just learning things like that as you go is super for people.
Let's see. I have to come across it. That whole Fascinate test, I found that very insightful.
Did you take it when you were there? You got the email?
I didn't take it till I got home because I couldn't think clearly with too little sleep.
Much going on.
So that was interesting to see how, given who I am, how I can attract people. And so that way I can just be me and know what it is about me that is going to attract people. So
That's huge. And, Melanie Mitra, she actually talked about this book, by the way. This is like one of the ones I always recommend, especially if people are starting to build their team or can't quite figure out yourself or figure out how to like work with people. It's called Personality Plus by Florence. I don't even know how to say that last name. Does that show up backwards for you guys?
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. I can read backwards, forwards, upside down. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So
Thank you for sharing that, because I had Personality Plus by Florence L. And like I was like, I didn't hear, like I couldn't figure out what the last name was.
It's Littauer.
Perfect.
Something like that. So if you look on Amazon, like this cover, I mean, it's so not cute, but the contents, the meat, is so good. I read this and I felt like I had I thought that before I read this, I thought people were just the way that they were. And then once I read this, I was like naturally categorizing people like, oh my gosh, now I totally understand why you digest information like that. And I totally understand how to talk to you. And this kind of, she has different names for it, but kind of goes along with like this circle, squiggle, square.
I was just gonna say, I made my husband do that when we get home. Pick a shape.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a circle. Stephanie's a triangle. My husband is also a triangle.
Oh, that's what
This is another good one if anyone's not done this. And the actual test that goes along with it is like super insightful. I'll show it again in case anyone.
Thank you.
Writing down complete sentences this time. So I know what you mean.
I have all the books. It's just so interesting. I love the study of people. So it's like, whoa, didn't know that I did that. But who else is a circle? Just out of curiosity.
Lisa is, right?
Lisa, are you a circle? I don't think she can hear us. Who's a square? Anybody? Oh, squares. Rich is a square. It's so funny because, like, I think that's why we get along, or like co-parent so well, because it's like he keeps the train moving on time, but I bring interest. So it's like, oh my gosh. Jennifer, I would love to hear from you. First summit, newer coach, Emerald already. Brought her husband, who was probably like, I have no idea what's going on.
I think that the financial, the getting financially fit was really good, because especially when you're a newer coach, you really don't know how to take any of the financial stuff in. So that to me was really good. And the part where you can break it down into, like, you find out your goal types and defining your phase and setting, smaller milestones to hit the bigger goals was probably, one of the best things, because when you look at a goal, like you said, a lot of times it seems so unattainable. And so when you put it in smaller milestones, it kind of helps you achieve the bigger goals by getting to those smaller options first.
I'm just pulling up, just for anyone that wasn't there, she talked about the different phases of your financial stability. So she said that different phases of your financial situation. So she said the first one is stability. The second phase is growth. That's when you're like investing for retirement, things like that. And then the last stage would be independence. So like that would be like if you could retire, that you could live comfortably off your money. And then what was the goal? Let me see if I have it. Because that was really good. I felt like that was very helpful, because when you have money coming in, even if it's an extra $100 a week, it's like, are you managing that appropriately?
Save, pay down, and invest.
Stability and then what? Growth? I didn't catch that.
Stability, growth, and then independence. So you have to figure out like which phase. Are you just paying bills? Are you actually able to save money? Or are you living independently off your life? I wish I had the actual screen, because there was one where she talked about, the goals. I wish that I would have took a photo of that, because she said it was, what are your goals for saving? What are your goals for paying down? And what are your goals for investing? And she said have 2 to 5 goals that fit, within those brackets. Like, are you saving for an emergency fund? Are you paying down debt? Are you investing for your retirement or for college? But she said if you try to spread yourself too thin, if you're like, I'm going to save for my kids' college and retirement and an emergency fund and pay off all these credit cards, then you end up going crazy, first of all. But then she said that you're not very effective at trying to achieve those goals. So you're, $5 here. You're trying to spread it so thin. It's just like kind of demoralizing. So she said try to focus on 2 to 5, and then have an achievable goal and a stretch goal. So she said an achievable goal just means making small refinements in your budget, whereas a stretch goal requires more focus and to use your time differently. So she said anchor yourself with an achievable goal, but then dreamers, like I am driven more by the stretch goal. So it's like, okay, I need to come back down to earth and like do like put a goal that I can actually sink my teeth into, versus someone probably like a square needs to have that stretch goal, force yourself to have a stretch goal so that you're looking for something bigger. Would you say that's a good synopsis of what she talked about? The other thing that I was like, holy crap, because I know people like this, she said a large percentage of people who earn over $100,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck. And years ago, I read the Success Principles. This one. This is like literally one of my favorite books of all time. As you can see, I have tons of notes. And Tony Robbins talks about this too, but Jack Canfield and Tony Robbins talks about, and actually Jim Rohn talks about this, that however your brain, like however you've wired your brain to think about money, you always try to get back to balance. So if you are so used to having $0 in your bank account and you win the lottery, guess what? Guess how many of those people go broke because they haven't changed their mindset. So I forget what the percentage is, but if you look it up, it's insane how many people win the lottery, millions of dollars, and end up in the exact same situation. And because I listened to all this personal development, I was able to recognize at the time when I started to make money that I would like find ways to spend it. I would just like invent ways that like, oh, instead of buying 2 shirts, I need 5 shirts. Instead of doing this, I need like 10 of them. So just recognizing that behavior, if you always have $5,000 in your savings account and suddenly it's less than, $4,900, you're going to do everything you can to get that extra money back in there. Versus also, at the same time, if you have $6,000 in there, you're going to find and invent a way to spend it. So if that makes sense to everyone. So I thought her just saying that, like one little thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I do not want any of you to be super successful with bringing in money and then not successful with managing and keeping your money. So that was like, whoa.
And she also has that, the worksheet she talked about. If you go to her website, you can actually get the slides and the worksheet as well.
Hey, do you think someone could share that? I wasn't in that workshop.
Yeah.
It was NatalieAnnTaylor.com. ANN. I'll type it in the chat. I think that's it. Oh, and then she also said when you're thinking about saving goals, I thought this was like really good to start small and increase at intervals. So for example, if right now you're saving 0%, you could start at like 1% and the next year move to 2% and then the next year move to 3% instead of just continuing to invest nothing. But anyway, lots of good stuff. I liked her too because she talked a lot about balance. So she's like, I'm not saying to spend all your money. I'm not saying save all your money. She said build in, some room for fun so that you're living life, but then you're also managing and planning for the future. So I can do that.
I'm trying to see in my notes here. I wrote down, she said, do I feel bad asking for money? Who did I choose? Which caregiver did I listen to, and who was I influenced by? It's talking about stemming from your childhood and not letting a lot of unconscious fears come through. And that rings true for me. So unleashing my potential, right? If you guys are not using the share cart option, you have to, right? You just have to. I thought that for the longest time in my coaching career so far, that people just want to save money. They're like, okay, give me the cheapest option, 160. So that's what I was giving people. And like, I was just making like, you know, baseline money here. I started using ShareCart recently, and I'm just like, I message people. Here's a little bit of, you know, the beach bars in addition to your $230 challenge pack, right? The biggest one. Start with the highest, go to the lowest. People are buying that stuff. So when they said, do I feel bad asking for money? So that rings true to me that don't limit yourself with just your expectations for yourself of what, you know, you're wanting to save money. Doesn't mean that means for everybody. Not everybody wants to save. Mm-hmm. They want to just get the product, get the stuff. You'll help them through it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and sometimes when people hear the cheapest, they're like, oh, are you giving me like the crappy stuff? Like, I want the good. I want the proper performance supplements, or, you know, whatever it is.
That was under the relationship. When she said relationship, number one, money.
Mm. Who else wants to share?
I'll go next because I have to get off here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A couple things that really stuck with me was Melanie's, you know, her big on planning. That's one thing I never do. Like, I just fly by the seat of my pants. I always say I don't have time. You know, they say create business hours. I always say I'm creating business hours, and then I don't, or I do for a couple of days. And, you know, really you have to treat it like a business. Otherwise you get overwhelmed. It sucks the joy out of you. You don't move forward. So hers really stuck with me. So that's what I'm starting. Her Sunday, she called it Sunday planning sessions. So she had a whole list of things to do. So I'm going to be starting that because I need some order. One other thing that stuck with me really quick, it was love, listen, and respond. So you want to love on them, you want to listen to them, and you want to respond. And that really stuck with me because sometimes I'm so quick to just like, I'm not even listening. Like, I'm just so quick to give an answer, or, oh, what about I did this? Or, you know, I kind of try to relate what I don't actually listen to what they're saying and then respond with what they're actually saying. So love, listen, and respond really stuck with me. And then, hold on, there was something else.
Do you remember who that was from, the love, listen?
Yeah, here, let me see, hold on. Michelle Myers, I don't know who she was. She was basically talking about going back to the basics, do more of what matters and less of what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What else did she say?
She was the one that said you have a responsibility. What did she repeat? Does anyone remember? She made us say it like 3 times. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was, this is not your opportunity, it's your responsibility.
That.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, and then I liked what she said is like, basically, how can you serve people? You know, you want to respect them so that they, you know, learn to trust you. And I don't know, she just really stuck with me with that. Like, it's not, you know, it is honestly a responsibility. That's, you know, not just an opportunity, but a responsibility. So she really stuck with me. And then, what did I get here? Hold on 1 second. Oh, first step to success is self-awareness. So basically, you know, doing our own self-awareness to figure out where we are, what's going on, where our struggles are, and, you know, doing the things that we need to do to fix ourselves, build our relationships, because otherwise, you know, if we're struggling in all these areas, we can't help anyone, and we can't really, you know, expect them to want to follow us. So that kind of stuck true with me because I feel like I'm in a story or section of my life where I sometimes am struggling a lot lately. Oh, and then it said, don't let the stories you tell hold you back. What did she say? Don't let the stories you tell yourself hold you back. Faith it till you make it.
Mm.
So that was, I forget who said that, but those ones really stuck with me because You know, we have to lead with heart and passion, and if we're not feeling it, you know, it's hard to do that. Like and the other one was refine. I think someone said something about, I have all these notes. Refine your, like, mission if you're losing the joy in it. Like, if your joy is not there, you need to, like, you know, refine where you're at, what you're doing, why you're doing it, you know, stuff like that. So all of those things really stuck with me.
That's awesome. I think that's true in any profession, like, and just so that you guys know that's totally normal if you ever feel like, am I cut out for this? I'm not finding it as enjoyable. I don't have that fire that I used to. Like, every single one of my coach friends, we've had that conversation where it's like, how do I bring the passion back? And it is true, what you focus on expands. So just by, like you're saying, refine why you're doing it, really kind of dig deep. It does make a difference. I always think about Oprah. I'm like, okay, obviously Oprah's amazing, but I don't think that she wakes up every day like, I love what I do. I think she really does love it, but she also has to work at it. I think that's true for Michael Jordan or any professional in any field, that you might love it, but you might not always love it. But loving it really helps. It really makes, like, to bring that joy. That's
right.
the hardest thing. Bring the joy.
Yeah, bring the joy. I love that. My pen, by the way, from that seminar ran out because I took so many notes. I know, halfway through it. Anyway, I wanted to bring back to Instagram a little bit. I like the idea. I think it was from, I didn't get the last name of it, but it was like Angie and Megan. And it basically said, yeah, I was in Hall I.
Hey,
and
Lisa.
it basically, sorry, what?
Oh, I was going to say, Lisa, when do you have to hop off?
I'm going to actually hop off now. You guys are recording, right?
Yes, but I want to take a group photo.
Take a picture.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Next.
All right, so everybody smile. Okay, sweet.
Okay.
Sorry, I hate to do that, but I have a job offer I have to respond to
Good.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
so I have got to talk with my partner and make a decision here. So,
Aw,
Night.
have a good
bye,
night.
guys. All right.
Cool beans. Yeah, it was right after Miguel and Chelsea, and yeah, Angie and Megan. I didn't catch the last names. And it basically said go live on your Instagram, and now Instagram has the TV little thingy-mabob. If you've seen that up in the right-hand corner next to your area, it says go live, and then they said talk about of what you overcame that week. And I think that is so cool to add to your Instagram stories, not only just like to the 15-second clip, no, make it live. So make it to like, 5 to 10 minutes, pushing it 10 minutes, right? That's a bit much. Who wants to listen that long? But what did you overcome for the week? I think it'd be cool to talk about your goals for the next week. Be like, okay, I really want to work out this. Help me, keep me guys accountable. If you don't see me doing my stuff and sharing with you, that's another way on Instagram that's kind of newer.
You guys need to do that so that you could kind of expand your story a little bit without. I've noticed a lot of people must have been in that, because I'm noticing a lot of Instagram lives popping up on my notifications.
I think out of our group, there was like me, Ashley, Connie, Stephanie, Amy, Jill, Catherine, and a couple of her girls, and then Jenna and Maylene. Is that how you say her name?
Jenna and Miley. Yeah.
Thank you. I can never say her name right. We were all in Hall I.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There was like a giant group of us, which was super cool though.
Yeah, it's like good to diversify, but it was also nice to sit next to other people
Yeah.
and get more out of it, because you can talk about what just happened.
Yeah. Well, Miguel did this thing where you shut your eyes and you'd like visualize yourself, and we like all looked down and like the whole row was crying. And I was like, oh my God, we're disasters.
I was so prepared. Brendan Bouchard did the same thing, and I was a hot mess then. Remember that, Katie?
I do, but so I have like this funny thing with like seminar things that do that. I'm always the one looking around like, why is everybody crying? What's like, what did I miss? I'm broken.
Normally that's me, but I was like, I'm gonna do it this time, and it worked. So
Good. Awesome. Next takeaway speaker.
You want me to go?
Please.
So I was roommates with Jenna and Miley, but I was a lonesome girl sitting all by herself in room B.
Oh, I was in room D.
No, yeah, room D. Sorry. You were there. I wish I knew that. So I was, which is fine. I mean, I'm embracing my 40-year-old, you know, just trying to make sure I'm feeling a little bit more independent. So, but yeah, no, I actually felt like I was able to focus a little bit more on the stuff, and I was taking tons of pictures. And there were a lot of things that, I mean, for me, I entered really with the focus of just really wanting to be directed and really get a lot more just information. And I just felt like the theme throughout were just, you know, just get it in, get it done, you know, whatever time you have, just get it done. I really embraced a lot of the mindset stuff. You know, if you feel burned out, that's impossible. You're not on fire. You know, like there were things like that really just kind of resonated with me, because I feel like that's where my fear, my struggles are, and my limiting beliefs are. I really liked when Michelle said the biz gets really fun when you inconvenience yourself to convenience others. That definitely connects to the circle in me. You know, I loved Connie's thing, but I wish that there was a little bit more information. Okay, now that we know what these traits are, now what? Because there were some things that she had said, even just the negative side of those traits, that it would have been really nice to know, okay, what's the next step? How do I move forward? So I was kind of left, honestly, really wanting more out of that, which I'm sure if you go to her website, I'm sure I'll be able to find it. But I really appreciated the Instagram stuff. I'm trying to put myself out there more. I'm still trying to figure out the backside of it, the organization piece, because that's the other part of me. So it's like, okay, if everyone's finding their people through Instagram, well, a lot of people I know are starting to get off Facebook. So then how do you run your groups? You know, how are you getting people connected? And so I'm trying to figure that out logistically as well. But yeah, just the connections, the invites, it's no longer just sending out a blanket invite. It's really just connecting with other people, finding things to talk about first. So, I mean, it was a huge theme for me, I guess, throughout the whole thing that was standing out. So a lot of things were consistent. I don't know, did you guys have what it takes to become a fit boss in your Hull I?
I'm sitting here nodding my head, and I was in your hall.
You're in my hall. Because I think everyone else, probably didn't. I think that was one of the few ones that were different from the other hall. And this one was with Micah Folson and Ashley Smith. And they kind of talked about how, and I really appreciated it. It was like, okay, well, what is a fit boss? One, you're making a commitment to your fitness. And so basically it's either your fitness or it's your business. And to truly be a fit boss, you need to be rocking it in both. And they were just talking about how, you know, if you're really focused on your fitness, which I can connect with, like I've got my workouts down, I drink my Shakeology every day. That side, I'm helping people as they're going through their journey. I really challenge groups all the time. I'm great with that. But when it comes to increasing my team and doing the other part of the business, that's where I lack. And she's like, if you're basically to really truly take it to where you want, you need to make sure you're doing both. You can't just have one or the other. They're both really, truly, and that's what truly makes a fit boss. So, you know, track your business, choose a system that works for you, create lifers, help people to get their own results, fall in love with the process, and believe in their own vision and their mission. So, you know, it's still taking your challengers, but then getting them to the next step, which I appreciate. But I don't know, for me, it just kind of connected it. You just have to have both. That was my big takeaway. You know, if you're rocking out in one but not the other, you're going to be limiting yourself just in that. So I think that was the main one that I think was separated. I will say I was, you know, me being by myself, when I was walking through the hall sometimes by myself, I saw these teams that were all circled up on the floor and chatting. And I overheard someone say, "Don't let fear hold you back. Fear is selfish." And I heard them say that. I'm like, that must have been out of a different, and I think it was in Hall I. And so I was talking to Miley about it. And so she was kind of filling me in because I thought that was such a powerful statement, saying that fear is selfish, because when you look at it that way, you know, there's, gosh, you're just preventing all those people that you could be helping, not, but, you know, just because you're afraid of putting it out there, you know. So I thought that was a pretty powerful statement. I wasn't even part of the group, and when she said it, I was like, oh my gosh, like that was a huge one for me. So those are some of my takeaways. Just, there's a ton I need to go through. I took every single picture of every single slide. So I got to figure out how I'm going to put that all together so I'm not losing that stuff. But
You have to post that in the group.
Post what?
Love to see like all your slides, like any slides you have.
I have like 100+ slides. I took a picture of every single one.
That's
Me too.
awesome. If you post them in the group, then you can delete them off your phone if you need storage, and then you just know that they're always,
Yeah.
or I don't know how you organize.
I was hoping I could maybe put it like in a PowerPoint so that I'm just printing smaller images of those. I was like, but I can't. It's like way too much to organize, you know, each in it would take way too long, and I just don't have that time.
Had the PowerPoints, you know, like just uploaded into the Coach and Lynn office. Maybe one day.
Yeah, right.
That would be the most ideal.
Yeah.
Just, you know, randomly when you're thinking in the shower, I don't even remember where I heard this, but it's so funny you say about fear is selfish, because just today I was thinking about, Ashley, you could tell me if this was at Brendan, but they said, as an adult, being shy is a choice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it is, because when you're a kid and you don't you don't have the tools to know how to handle new situations or fear or whatever's holding you back and keeping you in your shell, that's one thing. But as an adult, we have the ability to change how we think. We have the ability to change our behaviors. So if you're being shy or fearful, like it just, for some reason that totally clicked that, oh yeah, it is a choice. Like I have the ability to adjust and refine my view of the world. So that's really good. I wanted to tell you a couple things. Instagram people that aren't on Facebook, but you still want to run groups. A lot of people use the Beachbody app specifically for that reason. Because it is a little bit weird unless you develop a strong relationship with someone from IG to then say, oh, and by the way, come over to this other social media platform. It's kind of weird, especially if some people are exclusively on Instagram. So that's where, for me at least, I use the app. And then when you were talking about the shapes, I really have to say Personality Plus again, or Danny Johnson has her book, First Steps to Wealth. She doesn't dive into it as much, but Personality Plus talks about, she talks about the gems in there, but Personality Plus talks about, like you're saying, the positive, the negative, and then how to navigate. And I just want to, let me see if I can like find a page really quick that kind of, oh yeah, here we go. Just even me opening it up. So it says, let's organize. Popular sanguine, which would be similar to the circle. Problem, popular sanguines talk too much. Solution number 1, solution number 2, solution number 3. So this book is really great for kind of the follow-up. I'm sure she has stuff too, but I couldn't speak to it. So I'm gonna like reread this so I could like really speak to it with some authority, but I remember that. Yeah, I love that Fit Boss, because I've seen people come in and crush it, like 6-pack, ridiculous transformation, and do nothing. And then I've also seen people who are really great business minded, but they don't have kind of the passion or, you know, what makes Beachbody different than wine or ketos or whatever. It's like what makes us different is the heart of it, and being able to physically transform people, emotionally transform people, mentally transform people. So I love that. I took notes on when you were talking about it. Yay! Best summit yet. Minus that I didn't get to see many of you, which I was so sad even on the days as it was happening. I'm like, how can this be happening? Where is everybody? But next year, we will be the team sitting in the hallway, taking notes, circling things together, talking. That is like my favorite. And we've done that in years past, and it's always been so fun. So that's my fault for not making it happen. But I think baby's going to stay home next year because Mama's got work. Any closing thoughts?
We learned from this year of how we're going to make next year over the top.
I love that. It was so fun though. I love this city. I felt like it was really congruent with our message as a company. It was safe and clean, not New Orleans. I will never go back to that city in my lifetime. So it was just yay Beachbody for really listening and picking an awesome place. Did anyone like do anything touristy there? Like I didn't have time, but was there anything cool to do? I know the zoo is there, but
Derek and I went to the museum that was across from our hotel.
So we went to the museum, but not on purpose. We were trying to find a place to eat for lunch. And I was like, oh, there's this place called Farmers Market Cafe. So everyone's like, oh, it looks like it's close. We should just go eat there. We're like walking around up and down the street trying to find this cafe and like asking citizens of Indianapolis, like, have you ever heard of this? It says it's right here. Anyway, it turns out it was in the museum, and it turned out to be really awesome because there was zero line. It's like walking into like the quietest, like pristine cafe and ate lunch and was in and out. So tip for next year. It'd be nice though.
Bakersfield was awesome. Eating tacos in the pouring rain.
That was the best. Kayla and I almost went back the next night, but then we were in our pajamas and it was like midnight and we were like, nah, maybe not.
Yeah, we're like, we don't have time for that. They were the best. I'm still dreaming about them.
Oh my God.
You'll have your chance, ladies. We'll go back, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Literally downpouring under the umbrella.
He's like, are you going to leave? We're like, no, after that walk, we're staying.
Well, we were like, we have to walk like a mile and a half back to our hotel. We're going to get soaked anyway. Like, let's just sit here and eat our food.
Was it like, what was it? A stand?
No, it was a Mexican restaurant. But like they seated us out back on the patio because they were full inside, and then it started downpouring.
Oh my God.
But like we had walked, so it was like either way we're going to get wet. So either stay and eat or walk back in the rain. And
there was like 9 of us too. So
holy cow.
You're sitting on picnic tables, some of us.
Did anyone eat at that paleo place?
Not after
we saw everyone got sick.
Yeah.
But then I saw Danielle Natoni is like raving about it. Like she loves it. She was back there. She had her team stay for a couple days after, and she went back and she was like raving about it. And so I'm like, okay, yeah.
Like, was that like fake that there was some, because he seemed fine on stage. Like,
he said he was on, I saw him on his story saying he was giving for Hydrate for, he's like the worst 6 hours of my life. He did have it. And there's a few other coaches that did, but if it's towards there, because wouldn't Autumn ate there? And if there was more people.
Yeah, everyone was eating there.
Specific dish that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, that is the worst pain to be sick like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I'd want to lead a workout at 6 o'clock in the morning the next day.
In front of 1,000 people trying to not explode. Like literally.
Of your like brand newly launched workout program, like not showing up is not an option.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I will say though, I went to the Mommy and Me workout with Autumn. I have a totally new appreciation for her. She was amazing.
Good.
So fun. And before, because I kind of felt like she I don't know. I just wasn't feeling her. And I've said that like, oh, she's just not my trainer. But after that, I was like, wow, she really does care. And I have to tell you guys this funny story. It's not really that funny. It's embarrassing. After the workout was done, everyone's kind of doing photos with her. And I thought, oh, I'll put Reese Girl up there and get a photo. So I handed her Reese. And then I went, this is like after the workout of doing like push-ups and planks. So my hands were like shaking. My arms were so tired. And I went like this to jump up on the stage. And my arms just gave out. And I totally went like this. Fell forward. It was like, oh my gosh. I was like, well, never mind. And just like, oh my gosh, everyone's just standing there looking like, anyway, she's like, try it again. And so I did, and I made it. And I was like, oh my gosh. No, I don't think it was caught on film, so that's a plus.
You're not going viral.
Oh my gosh, I'm just thinking she's never going to ask me to work out on stage. She's like, this girl cannot hang. But to be fair, I had a 20-pound baby that we were doing like constant. I mean, that is no joke. And
No joke.
was there. It's like if you're in front of anybody else, you don't want to be the one person that's like, no, I can't do it. You're like, ugh. But it was great because it wasn't as crowded. You guys went to the super workout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't go just because Reese was still asleep and I was like so nervous to move around, but that looked so fun and super crowded.
It was so crowded, but so fun.
Who was your favorite live trainer?
I love Shaun T live. I love him. Like, he's so motivational and so real. He's my ultimate favorite. And then Autumn, of course, too, but he's my ultimate.
Shaun definitely feeds off the crowd the most as far as like taking it to the next level. And then Chris Downing is like one of my favorites. I just think he's so sweet.
Chris is coming to our Super Sunday.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh my gosh. Definitely get photos with him if you can. He's like, so gracious, so sweet.
I know I was such a geek. We saw him at Core, and Connie's probably laughing at me because like we like waited in line to like get a picture with him because everyone was waiting. And I got up there and I just looked at him and I go, I'm gonna cry. Can I give you a hug? I was like so fangirling because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And he, of course, was like super gracious. And he's like, of course you could give me a hug. And he was like so sweet. But afterwards, I was like, oh my God, did I really just do that?
Oh, doesn't that make it that much worse though when they're just so great about it? You're like, no, I can't stop. I'm not
I was like, I feel like such a nerd.
That's awesome. You know what's so cool? I've seen people do, like if you have a photo with Shaun T or whoever, Chris Downing, and then next year go back and get another photo. And some of the people, like their results are so crazy just to show. Like such a great way like to compare. Oh my gosh, I did your workout last year and look where I am.
That's a cool idea.
I was honored and chosen out of the random poll for Kayla to be part of the Success Club party, and that for me was like such an eye-opener. Like, it's a non-negotiable. You have to make it happen. Not just for like all the cool free stuff. That's really great and it was fun, but just the atmosphere, like just truly celebrating such, a very cool thing. So well done, Kayla. I'll be there on my own with an extra ticket too.
That's awesome. The parties are great too because you're surrounded. It kind of reminds me of from going from high school to college, like the general sessions, like everyone's there. But then when you start getting, to the invite only parties, it's like, okay, everyone who is here is serious and like bumping elbows with people who, have done great things or going to do great things and just kind of being around each other. I'm surprised like nobody brought up Shaun's talk, but that for me was like one of the best pieces from Summit this year, just how he talked about when you're around certain people, you're more creative, you're happier, you're like more ambitious. And, you know, like for us to get around one another more is important for that reason. But, you know, when you're at those parties, it's so true. Or any event, you know, if you go to leadership or whatever, it's like the level of everything is instantly elevated. You know, like your determination, your drive, your creativity, your brain is just like firing like crazy. So he was definitely one of my favorite talks, and I have it recorded. For some reason it's like not uploading from my phone, but I will figure it out so that we could rewatch it again, because that was like when he talked about it's so true. And I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I, as you know, when I was like an Emerald coach, I would always say, when I get to Diamond, then I will be happier and I'll feel more like a leader. And then once I got there, I was like, well, when I get to 1-star, then I will feel like a leader. And then I was like, well, when I get to 5-star, for sure, I will feel like a leader. And it's like at each point, it was like a little bit of dissatisfaction because you're measuring the wrong thing. And like he said, you're always moving the yardstick. So it's really unfair to continue moving like how you measure your success or happiness if you're constantly changing what that means once you get there. So
you saying that made me think of one of the seminars about recognizing the season you're in, because I know a lot of times I'm like, well, you know, I have work, and if I only was able to do this full time, I'd have so much more time. I'd be able to do a lot more. And so that's kind of how I feel with that, is I've got to recognize that, hey, this is where I'm at and this is what I can do with it.
And I will tell you a little secret. Many coaches have gone from part-time coaching, full-time work to full-time coaching, and have actually become less successful, because when you suddenly have an entire open calendar, it's like, well, I have all day to work out, so of course I'm going to do it later, and then never do. And like your agenda just kind of, it's like, oh, I'll work 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, versus people are hyper focused, and the hour before work or like the 2 hours after work actually can achieve more. So if that puts some fire behind you, just know that you're in a great season. It just might not feel like it at the time, but you'll see how effective it makes you.
I took away a lot from Bonnie's. She's the one that was talking about the seasons, because I loved that shift of moving from the avatar, because I feel like I've made so many avatars, so many. And I was like even up till a couple months ago, like I'm always updating my avatar, but I'm like, am I really doing anything with it? But like looking at it as in the season of life. And I love how she explained like what kind of products are the people using in the season of life you're in, what kind of places are they shopping, what kind of, you know, things they have going on with their kids or their family or their marriage or whatever. And I feel like those are the things that are so much more relatable as far as creating an authentic connection with somebody versus listing all those traits on an avatar that basically are like just a mirror of you, but then it's not really taking it further. So I feel like I took a lot of good information from Bonnie's talk, and that really like shifted where I was putting my focus.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's like actually more tangible than trying to like think of an abstract. And I've always been huge on the avatar training.
Me too.
Like it's just we have to grow with as things change. And it's interesting because when I got back from Summit, I got 3 messages from people trying to sell me something. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is in the air? And they all referenced like, oh, Reese looks so cute and you guys were at Summit and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, then you should know that I'm super swamped with like getting caught up. But anyway, it's interesting because when somebody else messages you, it's very clear what's going on. So to kind of see them utilize like old strategies or just techniques, I don't want to say strategy, but old techniques that we have used, I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder why this doesn't work, because it's so annoying and so blatant. You know, there is no, it's like a fake connection. So even though they did all the things that we said, oh, hey girl, like relating on 3 different things, at the end of the day, I'm just thinking, okay, just get to the point of what you're trying to sell.
Yep.
But
I've had those come through too lately, and I'm like, okay, I know you're about to sell me something. Like, I know you're trying to make a conversation. It's like I can recognize those things, and I'm like, my gosh, I can't believe I did this.
You guys, in addition to that, and I think this is a keynote too, it's important. I've been getting friend requests from other people or other different ex-coaches, and now they're part of a different group, and it's like, I don't friend those people, and I essentially block them because they're following my people, they're seeing who's involved, then they're messaging my people, and it's like, I don't think so. So I block them because then they can't follow me, because if you deny their friend request, they can still follow you.
I think on Facebook I have where you can't see my friends. I've like changed my privacy, but honestly, I will tell you, like, yes, definitely that, but I actually don't even worry, because I'm like, it's just not productive to be in a space of fear, and you need to be like thinking abundance. But I do think it is safe to or smart to safeguard yourself and protect your following for sure. But just
I share my family, and
yes. When people are messaging my cousin, it's like, hold up, hey, get out of here.
Mama Bear comes out, don't mess with
Exactly.
me.
Oh my god.
I actually had somebody do that. She used to be a coach, and Connie and I are we do Social Team Builder. I don't know if you guys have heard about Social Team Builder, but we're both members, and this old coach was in the intro group, like before we bought into it. And at the end of the group, when she found out who bought into it, she actually messaged me, and she was like, hey, would you mind sharing your login information with me for this? Because like, I'm building a totally different business. It's not Beachbody anymore. And I'd really like to be able to access this. But I just bought Shalene's program, so I'll share my login information with you for that if you'll share yours with me. I was like, no, like, see you later. Get out of my inbox. Like, that is so gross.
That's terrible. Bill. All right, ladies.
I gotta go. It's past my bedtime.
Way past. We got early morning workouts. We got businesses to build, fit bosses to become.
Yeah.
Get on it. Do you guys like doing Zooms? Is this something like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are we thinking frequency wise, like every other week, once a week, once a month?
I would say like every other week would be a good.
Every week starts to get like daunting, it seems like.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you miss one. Yeah, but every other week or like once or twice a month, depending. I think a lot of it depends on what we have to connect on. Mm-hmm. Like if there's things that we're really focused on increasing the number of calls, or if it's just kind of a connect, then only maybe doing once a month or every other week.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, like this month is big because we've got Summit, post-Summit, we've got Lift 4. Like, so those are things that would be good to connect more about.
It would be awesome to talk strategy on like launches, in building Instagram, like kind of coming with like, what's one thing that like worked for you this week. And then I do think, and I know it's like so annoying to say, but the trackers, like the trackers give us stuff to talk about, because it's like, here is the actual facts of what happened this week. So I just know that I perform better with a tracker, as resistant as circles are to trackers. But I was just thinking, like, I'm not going to speak that over myself. I'm going to say circles are amazing at trackers because they are. When you can doodle and make little notations around it. So I'm thinking like every other Thursday would be awesome. Does 8 p.m. Eastern work?
Yep.
Works for me.
8:30 or 8?
8 would be better for me.
I'm going to be doing every other Thursday 7 o'clock coaching op calls, but I should be off of them by 8, so that's fine.
Oh, cool. I love that you're doing that. Okay, cool. Let's plan on that, and I'll like set up events so that we can be like reminded going forward, and we can just kind of hash things out. And I think going forward, it doesn't have to be an hour and a half. It can be like a 30-minute call, 45 minutes, because it is like a long time to be on.
We had a lot to get through tonight, though.
Yeah. And I love seeing you guys. All right, ladies. Well, I'm going to hop off.